Well, Ronjit, welcome. This is the Slipcase 4AMers series. So we have a chat with professionals that work in the risk, insurance and reinsurance industry. And we ask them a little bit more about themselves and what's their 4AMer, what keeps them awake at night. We're very glad to have you here with us. And before we start, obviously you're the CMO and comms director for MS Amlin. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your role?
Thank you, Veronica. And firstly, thank you very much for having me here today. It's a privilege to come along. So I've been at MS Amlin for just over 11 years now, which is amazing, actually, kind of how the time has flown by. And I'm responsible for anything to do with our marketing, communications, external communications, as well as internal communications and staff engagement. My role has changed a number of times over the period that I've been at MS Amlin, but the organisation has changed so much alongside that. You know, I've never worked anywhere for as long as I have now. And I certainly didn't envisage that I'd be here 11 years later when I walked through the door back then. But that's because, there's been so much change in a very positive sense, and it has meant from a marketing and from a comms perspective, it's given me, new challenges, new problems to try and fix. So yeah, that's me.
So Ronjit, tell us, what is your 4AMer? What keeps you awake at night?
I'd say for me, it is about connection. It's about trying to find new ways, better ways to keep evolving what I do as a marketer and what we do as a team. Tapping into the business more effectively, trying to find those nuggets and trying to tell their story about what is happening, what we are doing within the company in a meaningful and engaging way that captures people's attention.
So storytelling, and you obviously are excited about change. Storytelling is key. With all the new technology coming into the fold, how do you see that? Is that an excitement point for you, or is it a bit like, yes, but let's go back to basics because that, works and we want to keep it at that level?
No, technology is, I think it's a great enabler, either because it's opening up new channels, but you still have that kind of, let's say, that fundamental idea of almost try not to be distracted to that kind of central truth about what you need to say and what the point that you want to get across. But I think technology, either, let's say, if we look at social media and the development of social channels, we at MS Amlin, we're doing much more of that now than we ever did before. Inevitably, LinkedIn is our primary channel as a route to a very professional audience, and often with sometimes quite a ton of technical message. And we're investing much more in that as a route to market, I suppose. The use of video, the use of more engaging content to get a point across. And I think, alongside that, you have that challenge right now where there's this sense of, everybody's got a really short attention span and it's only getting shorter. And if you can't grab somebody's attention within, the first 2 seconds or by the 8th millisecond, you're going to lose somebody. I think it's easy to kind of get almost kind of wrapped up in that. I think if your story is strong, and if you've got something that's engaging, people will stop longer than a microsecond to watch, to listen, to read, to hear. And I think that it's important that we remember that.
So you've changed a few industries. How does this one that you've deployed so much time into, insurance as a whole, keep you, so excited about?
So I have been in a number of different sectors, not just within financial services. I've been in financial services for probably about 20 years now. Before that, I've been in travel and tourism. I've been in the voluntary sector.
Post office.
Yes, and I've worked at the post office. And it's kind of, very different industries, and very different times in a lot of ways. But I think, what we see now, the the London market and the Lloyd's market in particular, it's kind of, I guess, perhaps it has a bit of an unusual relationship with technology in terms of its adoption. You know, I'm talking the kind of the broadest sense of the word now. But change is inevitable. Change is positive, and I think, you know, both as a marketplace and as individual carriers and brokers, you know, we're all adapting to that challenge and that need to evolve, you know, in lots of different ways. But I think, you know, one of the things that we're seeing within MS Amlin is, you know, the use of data to throw a spotlight on unusual or interesting insights. Perhaps, you know, maybe it's from the exposure management team, or it could be something within our claims function that then gives us, from a marketing and comms team's perspective, something really interesting to talk about. Because I think one of the things that, you know, I see it within the company, but I think I recognise it across the market. People can be quite shy. People can be quite reticent to share, you know, either their story or the kind of the nugget of information that they found. And sometimes there's a belief that, oh, nobody will be interested in this, or lots of other people do the same thing, so why would we talk about it? But I think, again, if you've got something that's actually really quite unusual, quite exciting, that captures people will want to hear it. They'll want to understand what this thing is, you know, what insight you found, and what that means in terms of, is there a kind of a bigger picture? Is there a bigger picture, bigger story there?
You mentioned the London market, and there's been a lot of talk about talent, you know, volume and quantity as well. I was very amused about this campaign you've had on these stunts. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, but also obviously open up the conversation about whether that was done to attract younger talent into the fold?
Yeah, so we had this idea last year. We wanted to do a campaign. And the one thing we didn't want to do, and I particularly didn't want to do, was just almost to do what everybody, not everyone else, but a lot of companies do, you know, in terms of their advertising approach, you know, maybe take over a tube station or something. I mean, it's great, you know, it's great for visibility. You've got tons of people going in and out every day through bank, but I wanted something different. And we landed on this idea of looking at a seemingly unrelated industry, which is the stunt profession, and using that as a very visual analogy for the work that happens within our world. You know, the assessment of risk and understanding what is going to happen, how you're going to deal with the situation, what's going to happen at the end of an event, how you plan for it, how you prepare for it, to make sure that at the end of it, everybody is safe and everyone's, you know, everything is restored back to where you started to a degree. So this was the basic conceit, and we had a variety of different short videos that paired a genuine Hollywood stunt professional with an underwriter from MS Amlin, and the stunt professional went through a series of different stunts, whether it was kind of a big fall from kind of 30 foot in the air, or, you know, an explosion, breaking through glass. You know, it was really kind of visual stuff. And yeah, that's exciting and that's interesting in and of itself. But yes, there has to be something else. There's got to be something more than just that initial, no pun intended, kind of bang. And so we were very keen to use the campaign, not just to highlight MS Amlin and to talk about the things that we do and that risk parallel, but also to throw a spotlight on the industry, and to use it as an opportunity to say that, you know, this is an exciting, dynamic industry where there's so many, you know, different roles, different opportunities that that are available for people to get involved. And one of the underlying messages that we had there was about talent, was about highlighting the fact that there is a talent gap within the sector, that we do have this disparity from an age point of view, where the London Market Group have talked about this a number of times, where, you know, you've got more people over 50 than under 30 in the market, and that that disparity is increasing. And so we wanted to use this as a way to highlight that as a challenge, and putting forward for spokespeople some of our younger talent to be involved in the campaign, because we wanted a real diversity of engagement from within the company to be able to speak about the campaign. So we had articles in a number of different platforms, different media that are very much targeted at young people, at getting them into the sector, and ideally getting them to come and work for us as a company. And that drive for young talent is something that is really important to us as an organisation. Mm-hmm. Last year, so we have a regular intake of graduates and apprentices, and last year we brought on around 20 new grads and apprentices into the company on if you're on a 2-year scheme, if you're an apprentice, or 3-year scheme if you're a grad, and because it's so important to us, it's so important that we have fresh minds, young minds, lots of new ideas. But that wider issue of making sure that the sector remains healthy and almost kind of future-proofs itself by bringing young people into the industry.
Allow me to ask you, so when you look at the younger generation coming to join MS Amlin, for example, what's a piece of advice that you would give right now to those considering it?
Do it.
Just do it.
And I suppose, in that sort of, that sense of taking, or perhaps not seeing it as a risk actually, but really going for it, because there are, as I say, you've got so many different careers that you can, whether it is the kind of classic underwriting role, whether it's in marketing, whether it's in HR, within finance, within actuarial, there's within data technology, there's so many things that you can involve yourself in, and so many careers. You can build a life of a really kind of rich, fulfilling life within the insurance sector. And it's a funny sector. It often, I think, it struggles to market itself. It struggles to engage itself or to engage others at times about the value that the insurance sector brings, both to the economy but also to society. And I think there's a great role there for us as marketers. Not just to talk about our companies, but to talk about the industry, talk about the sector, and talk it up in a much more positive and engaging way.
Well, Ronjit, as always, a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.